All right, folks, we have a huge article that came out yesterday, so it is fresh off the press, talking about the inevitable. Investing 101, low supply, high demand, pushes the price up. Well, this article is going to explain why silver is inevitably going to rise. It's not an if, it is a when, and this article is going to explain why and how this is happening. This isn't a conspiracy. This is just facts, and this data shows the proof. So without further ado, make sure you subscribe if you want daily silver videos, a channel that posts interviews, does a podcast with Andy Sheckman, does live streams, giveaways, and so much more. Click that subscribe button. Link to this article will be in the description. It's titled, "Silver Supply Cannot Meet Industrial Demand. Not even close. Silver non-existent by 2026. Now let me hammer one very important, key, critical point that a lot of people miss that don't understand why people will say silver could easily pass $100 or more. People who do not think that will happen are only looking at silver's potential from the lens of what gold can do. Silver is not gold. Yes, it has the benefits, but gold isn't scarce. Gold does not have very many uses. So when we talk about a silver shortage, that will actually affect the price because of what silver is used for. Industrially, solar panels, EVs, the new Samsung battery, military. That is going to affect the price. Whereas if gold was scarce, it really wouldn't matter as much, especially since most gold is recycled and remelted and rescrapped since it's used for coins, bars, and jewelry. Gold and silver have two completely different uses. So when we're talking about a silver shortage, looking at how much silver we need and where this silver is going to come from is non-existent. It can't just poof, just appear out of thin air. We're talking about a 770 million ounce deficit in the last 3.5 years alone. 252 million ounce deficit they're predicting this year, and it's only going to get worse. Record-breaking supply deficits year after year after year, but we need more and more silver. So anyone who's thinking that silver will only do what gold's doing is not understanding this whole other part of silver's potential. They're just looking at silver from a monetary perspective as a hedge against inflation and as the dollar's weakening. Things that, yes, gold will be rising from naturally as well, but a lot of people aren't understanding the entirely other world of where silver can take over. Number one, bottom line, wake-up call. This report's title asks the right question. It is titled, "Can silver mine supply meet increasing industrial demand?" The conclusion is a resounding no. Given the current situation in mining dynamic, unless industrial demand decreases, thrift or slowdown, or recycling of jewelry and investor coins increases significantly, which is highly unlikely, quote, only continued drawdowns from above ground stocks that can balance the market in the next few years. This is a wake-up call for the industry and frankness from a notably unperturbable organization. The tone is not panic by any means, but the facts as presented do raise questions. And that's where we are going to see big industry, tech companies, any type of company like Elon Musk, for example, that owns, let's say, SpaceX or EVs or military or anything, they are going to be screwed if they don't already or haven't already acquired a direct source. Even if they have a source or they do find a source, when this happens, just think about premiums or think about the competition of all of these companies frantically trying to find silver. And once the price goes up, think of cost of production as well. Number two, analysis. Only above ground stocks and scrap can save silver supply now. Unless there is a global economic slowdown, unlikely for the next 6 months as banks are now in interest rate lowering cycle, above ground stocks will be used to fill the gap between supply and demand. The wild card is China, of course, with their insatiable demand. That can also turn negative. Silver supply by primary metal. Gold, and what they mean by this is where most silver is found when they're mining these other metals. Most silver is found by gold, lead, and zinc. Nobody is really digging up silver out of the ground. There's only very few focal silver mines. Most silver is found by accident. Only 27% of silver is found when looking for it. They're looking for gold. If they find silver, they'll take it, but they're not looking for it. The silver industry is now in an unenviable position after years of economic neglect, of having to be bailed out of its deficit problems by forces outside of its control unless some of the aforementioned things happened. Silver producers, cash generation, and uses. Now you can see right here, there is this chart showing capital expenditure, net debt raised or repaid, equity issued, buybacks, dividend repurchases. Absent an economic act of God or an industry-specific innovation, demand will only be satisfied with considerably higher price. And that's also what you see with silver miners. Like when I interviewed Sean Kuhn, which is the CEO of Dolly Varden, he was saying, what's the point of digging? They found like 65 million ounces of silver already, found 1 million ounces of gold, but because they're located in the Golden Triangle. But he's like, why waste the resources and all the time and money mining this silver out of the ground? Why not just wait till the price rises? Right now, he's building like an underground piggy bank. So you're going to see a lot of miners doing the same thing. Why not just wait? Absent an economic act of God or industry-specific innovation, those two things are important. Where are we going to get the silver from? Either mining innovation, or because there's only so much silver in the Earth's crust, right? So mining innovation, recycling, which recycling won't even put a dent in the amount of silver we need. I mean, we're talking about 770 million ounces in the red last 3.5 years, over 1 billion ounces in the last 5 years, and it's only growing faster and faster. So what else? Taking our silver, confiscation, that wouldn't really make a dent either. Or space mining, the final frontier. There's an asteroid headed towards Earth called 16 Psyche, and it has, they say, like $500 quintillion worth of precious metals on it. NASA sent out a rover last year to go check this thing out. I think it will be in Earth's orbit by the year 2026. Space mining will not be realistic by then, but the idea of space mining is in NASA's radar. It just won't be for another decade or so, but who knows with AI nowadays. But that's the only other option. Silver came here from meteors and asteroids, so we'll have to go outside and get those meteors and asteroids. But anyways, the industry is increasingly not in control of its own fate and will have to rely on intermediaries like banks who scour and procure metal from existing supply, usually clients holding it for a better deal of their own stocks, which is so true, folks. If you can't hold it, you don't own it. You think your silver sitting in some vault, halfway across the country, but no. If everyone tried to turn in those contracts onto COMEX or turn them into physical delivery, it would expose the facade. So, producers of concentrate who are selling their materials in increasing frequency before silver is extracted to China. So here's the mine supply. When silver goes higher, mining goes higher with it. Here are some of the points that lead to this conclusion. Number 1, silver mining supply continues to dwindle, falls short of growing demand. Number 2, above ground stocks will be increasingly tapped to cover the shortfall. And that's another point. It's like, even if we tried to break even, we are already so many years behind that we are never going to catch up. Let's say they're predicting demand will be 1.4 billion ounces this year. Even if we hit 1.4 billion ounce production, which is impossible, that's like almost double of what we usually produce, like 800 million ounces on a good year, then adding like recycling and other things. It's around a billion, about 900 million. Sometimes we'll reach 1 billion ounces. That was, but even if we did hit 1.4 billion ounces, we're still so many hundreds and hundreds of millions of ounces in the red. It would take 5 or 6 years to catch up to break even. But in 5 or 6 years from now, it will already have been so far past that. So there literally is no catching up to do. And that's if we magically somehow started finding, 600 million ounces more than we already do. So this is not a realistic thing. I remember reading an article in like 2020 where the guy was saying He said, and I quote, "If you think we have enough silver to go green, you're living in la la land." And that always stuck with me. Much of the shrinking supply comes from decreasing ore yields. Over the past decade, silver grades have fallen by 22%. Silver mine price and this elasticity is a feature, not a bug, with over 55% of silver being a byproduct, like I was mentioning. Despite higher prices, mines will not be able to ramp up much production, like I was also just mentioning. Costs are killing profits at even higher prices. Operating costs have outpaced revenue growth, and that's another reason why miners have they have no intention or willingness or would want to. Capex keeps rising from mining cost inflation, with mining cost inflation and degrading ore quality. Strikes, environmental blocks reduce supply. That's a huge other thing. Mexico nationalizing silver, saying, all this silver is in our crust. Why are we sending it away? This is ours, rightfully ours. And it is, it's in their land. Mexico and Peru are the biggest silver, producers. China's starting to come out. I think China was number 2, if not number 1 last year, which kind of came out of the blue. But China's the biggest consumer, but now also producer. But also the strikers. I remember there was supposed to be a mine in Canada. There was supposed to be a silver mine that was supposed to be put up a couple years ago, but the people protested the mine because it was going to contaminate their groundwater, which is ironic because silver purifies water. It has antimicrobial properties. Now, yes, it would have still probably contaminated the groundwater, but it's just ironic that they're protesting a metal that purifies water as is. But let me just stop right there. I'm not saying that silver would have purified their groundwater. It definitely would have contaminated. The whole point is that the stuff they're digging out does purify water. But anyways, I always got to make myself clear because some people are just stupid and can't think past someone saying something. Or anyways, increasingly dependent on recycling and demand to cover shortfalls. Hoping for investor demand to slack is not going to happen as prices rise, right? There's only going to be more money coming in. Jewelry demand will decrease if prices rise, but not significantly. Recycling of existing product is not going to cut it. And that's what I've been saying. Recycling won't put a dent into how much silver we actually need. Only above ground stocks and scrap can save silver supply now. Above ground stocks come every day as found from vaults, etc., but sometimes have to be sourced with great difficulty in a new world, now moving into a mercantile mindset. And yeah, as people trust banks less and less, it's going to be harder and harder. Producers are going to be turning into consumers and vice versa. The people like you and I that want the silver will be able to sell it to people that need it. Right? We don't need it. We don't own a tech company. We don't have to produce X amount of Teslas by next year. We don't have to make the newest, latest iPhone, but they do. And you best guarantee they're going to get their hands on silver to be able to, unless Elon Musk is going to come out and have to halt the production of Tesla or cut back the amount of EVs he makes per year, or Apple has to cut back and skip the iPhone 17 and push it back a year or something. You think that's going to happen? No. They'll be willing to pay any price because of the product. That's why we will have the power, because we have the silver that they want. Producers will turn into consumers. Consumers will turn into the producers. Think about that line. LME opening a vault in Asia is the only way to reliable deal. Asia must be acknowledged as a demand center and therefore a potential source of metal. Now we have here number 3, the third point, final note: the industry is upside down with financialization, which of course it is. Our structural impediments to new supply coming online from both primary and secondary miners, streamers, streaming and royalty agreements now account for around 4% of total silver supply as miners. Here's the fourth point, MF report, metals focus, standing for not Miles Franklin, but if you guys wanted to purchase some silver or gold or platinum, you could email me, slayer@milesfranklin.com, or call me 330-485-6172, and I will give you incredible prices. Buffalo rounds, $235 over spot. Can't find those prices anywhere else. We have tons of different things: 100-ounce bars, 10-ounce bars, 1,000-ounce Comex bars, junk silver. We have everything and anything you could possibly think of. Hit me up. Anyways, though, So here's the metals focus report. Can silver mine supply meet increasing industrial demand? Silver market's experiencing its fourth consecutive year of structural deficit driven by primary increasing industrial demand. This deficit is expected to persist and so notably deplete above ground stocks. A critical question now facing the markets whether mine supply can respond to restore balance. Which remember, it's not possible. Look at these numbers. Silver mine supply after 2 decades of consistent year-on-year growth peaked at 900 million ounces in 2016. During that period, the silver price, despite some volatility, averaged $13 an ounce. And think about that, folks. The majority of, and that's when I started stacking, right, in like 2015. The majority of my stacking career, silver's been like $15. So you guys that are looking at $32 silver and thinking not much of it, you're desensitized to higher prices. You see how me looking at $32 is pretty high compared to someone who got in at 30, it only appreciated $2, so you're desensitized to these higher prices. If you saw $15 silver, you would go crazy. But me, I'm used to buying silver at that price, right? It shouldn't matter your perception on when you got in, though. The perception should be on right now it's cheap and look at where it's headed. Looking ahead, the structural deficits are expected to support silver price, which are forecast to ultimately reach record highs over the next 5 years. However, mine supply growth is likely to remain modest with only minimal increases globally. Think about that. We are forecast to reach ultimately new record highs over the next 5 years. Despite higher prices, mines will not be able to ramp up much production. Implicitly, the scrap and above ground recyclable will be more important. But remember, that's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. You guys can look into this. You know, if you really want to look at, the reality of where silver is headed, look at the data. You know, a lot of people that I think judge silver stacking channels just think we're talking about it from conspiracy of government or thinking that we're only basing this off of some belief that, we're just living in this, in our own thought bubble of our own area of the internet that's just hoping it will do something because we don't trust the dollar. There's actual statistics to this. If there wasn't a deficit of 770 million ounces, if there wasn't a silver shortage, if we didn't need silver for so many things, if silver wasn't the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity and electricity and light sensitivity and all of these things we need silver for, I wouldn't be making videos like this. My name wouldn't be Silver Slayer. It might be Gold Guy or Gold Guru or Bitcoin Boy. But it's Silver Slayer. I didn't pick silver out of a hat. There's reasons for this, and the data shows it. That's what a lot of people don't understand. And once you truly understand that, and then also apply that same principle to gold's potential of also silver being real money, where you could park your money in real money as the dollar slowly depreciates in purchasing power, then you could see really how much potential silver has and opportunity. That's where a real silver stacker is born. I'm going to wrap this video up here. Appreciate you so much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. Check out I've been doing a lot of interviews lately. I interviewed JP Cortez from Sound Money Defense League. Interviewed him the other day. Go check out that. That's incredible. He's been bringing back the gold standard to all 50 states, traveling all over. Amazing guy. He's doing heroes work. He's literally fighting. He's fighting the giant. Right. He's going against Congress and all he's really trying to bring gold and silver back as money and get rid of taxes and capital gain taxes and bring this thing, where it rightfully, bring God's money to its rightful owners. Yeah, also been interviewing Sean Kuhn. I have another one with him and Andy coming up next Tuesday. There's been a lot. Trying to get some other people on as well. So yeah, check that stuff out and make sure you subscribe and go check out patreon.com/silverslayer if you want to join the Secret Silver Society. It's like a hangout group for silver stackers. Really cool stuff. A lot of fun over there as well. So yeah, anyways, I love you all. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.